Here's everything you need to know to be able to be the one that steps up and takes the place behind the screen. My name is Sam. Welcome to the Jank Drawer. This is episode 1 of Behind the Cardboard Curtain. Welcome to the Jank Drawer, everybody. My name is Sam. I'm going to be your host today as we begin episode 1 of Behind the Cardboard Curtain. In this series, we are going to be distilling all of the information and advice I have from 20 years of running different games and game systems, as well as designing my own multi-year-long campaigns and custom characters and items and monsters and combats to just combine essentially my philosophy on how the best way is to go about doing things like that, as well as offering tips, tricks for anyone, whether they be aspiring new GMs, people that have found themselves having to take up the GM seat because no one else in their group was available or wanted to, or even experienced GMs that just might want a new and a fresh perspective. I believe very strongly that there's a lot that we can all be constantly learning from each other, and this is just my way of putting it out there and distilling what I've been able to learn through trial and error, as well as watching other great GMs and playing with my friends. Every good story has to start somewhere. Over the last few years, that has come in the form of a resurgence of a lot of these collaborative storytelling games, specifically Dungeons & Dragons, but a lot of other tabletop RPG systems have gotten a lot more popular in the past several years. I know that has been a great boon for me personally as a person that's been interested in and running these games and studying these games for several decades at this point, in that it has let me be able to have multiple games running at a certain time and having just more buy-in and an easier sell to find new players than ever in the history of trying to run these systems. But with that, there comes a challenge. As popularity increases, so does general interest from people that are trying to get in for the first time, or groups that are falling in love with their favorite actual play shows and are wanting to try and capture and distill their own little bits of that essence for their own games with their own friends. And the first problem you're going to run into when you're trying to do that is finding someone that has to run this game and help tell that story for you all. Not every group comes pre-built with someone that has been doing this forever or even knows what they're doing. And therefore it falls upon one person out of the group to take up the mantle of Dungeon Master and be the one that's going to take charge. Hopefully by the end of this video, I'm able to convince you that that could be you, or if it is you, that you are capable and ready and able to do this. So first, a basic definition. A game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, is just one person who is, instead of playing a character, is simulating the world and helping guide the story for each of the other players at the table, who will each be playing only one character that is their player character. Now, I know that can sound overwhelming. You might be saying to yourself, what does it mean to emulate a world, to synthesize things, and to help doing all these things? But it's not as daunting as it would seem. There's some tips and tricks that I've learned that help narrate that, and those can largely be distilled down into a couple of really good just mottos and tips to go by. Acting is reacting. Second, communication is key. And third, fun is more important than all. And we're going to get a little bit more in depth onto each of those as we go onward. First, acting is reacting. Acting is reacting. So let's do a quick case study on just the standard group of people that would be playing any of these tabletop RPGs. There is going to usually be two major groups. On the one hand, you have the GM. This is the person that is going to be running the game, is going to be adjudicating the rules, is going to be providing story guidance and things like that. And there is going to be, on the other hand, the player character, someone that is going to be giving ideas. They are going to be attempting to perform certain tasks. They're going to be rolling dice to adjudicate how well they perform those tasks. They're the ones that fight the monsters. If we look at those two groups and what jobs they are both doing at any given time, we can see that the player characters are actors. If you're thinking about it in the sense of a movie or of a book or a play, they are the protagonists. They are the ones acting on the world, changing it through their actions and doing whatever comes necessary to make sure that they are saving the day, or foiling the master plan, or saving even just the small little village that they find themselves in at the very beginning of their adventures. On the other side of that coin, we have the GMs, who their main job isn't acting, it is reacting. It is taking in the adventurer's choices, these player characters and whatever they are trying to do, responding to that in a way that you feel is acceptable, or how the person that you are pretending to play or the monster you are having them fight would respond to those things. And then when they try to take an action and voice what they want to do, you're the one that receives that information and tells them which dice to roll and which check to make. And as long as you're doing and balancing those skills out, you're able to build upon those simple decisions of, what am I doing in this moment? And that ultimately gives you a world. It gives you something to believe in, something to have your characters buy into. There is an expectation, I feel oftentimes when I'm talking to people that are trying to be a dungeon master for the first time, that they need to prep for every possibility that any of their characters could partake in at any given time. Since if they were hit by something they weren't expecting, they wouldn't know how to react to it, or they wouldn't know what to do or what role to give. And while that can be daunting, and I can understand that, it is not possible to try and actually gather every single thing that a player character could do and plan out every decision tree. In that way, collaborative role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons or other tabletop RPGs are vastly different than video games. Video games have planned out decision trees. They have, even in the most open world of games, a set, finite, fixed set of outcomes that can happen. You can still break them with various glitches and bugs and things like that, but the game designers at a fundamental level have thought through everything that they think a player character should be allowed to do or could be able to figure out how to do, and have planned for that capability, and it has taken them years and years, and even then, they miss things. You as one person, especially someone that's new to DMing or even someone that's been doing it for many, many years, will constantly be surprised by not only your players, but also by dice rolls that you can never predict. One of the great things about these collaborative storytelling games is usually they respond to some sort of dice-based system for most major decisions, which gives all of the creative power to objects of chance. And so if you get your ideas now of planning instead of proactively, how am I going to respond to everything? How can I make it so that my players are never going to surprise me? And instead start thinking, how would so-and-so, if your NPC is the barkeep, how would the barkeep respond to the party walking in and asking for a beer? Or how would they walk in, and if they started a brawl fight, what's the response of the people in the bar? If you start thinking in that way of trying to be reactive, it does require a little bit more of a learning curve, and it does require a little bit more willingness to jump into the improv aspect of these games, but it gives you much more freedom and flexibility to spend more time in the moment with your players, so that they are able to have as much of an engaging time as they can, as well as you are able to have as much of an engaging time as you can, and together you can focus more on your narrative and your story, and most importantly, having fun with your group of friends and making sure that you're all having a good time. That brings us to the second point then of, now that we've talked about how to react and that the job of the DM is being a reactor, not an actor in the narrative, communication is key. The most important conversation that can ever happen at the beginning of any D&D game, in my opinion, is a session zero conversation. And I want to demystify some of the facts around what a session zero is. There's information on these in several of the officially licensed D&D products, and there's several other information sources on the internet where you can find these guidelines, but what specifically goes into a session zero is a much broader topic, and it deserves going much more in depth, and there will be a separate video in this series entirely on a full-fledged session zero with all ideas of how to do a session zero in a much more muted, one-shot friendly way. That being said, what we are going to do is talk about the most important part of that, which is the setting of expectations and communication of intent. When you sit down at a table with any number of people, especially when you're trying to tell a story together through tabletop RPGs, there are several things that everyone should be prepared to talk about and go through, just to make sure that everyone has a good time and everyone has safety, in their fun. Most importantly, at the top of that list is setting of expectations. In any endeavor, it is very much worthwhile when you're trying to do things as a group to make sure that everyone, even when they arrive at the table, has their own ideas, but by the time they leave the table, all of their ideas are working together. And the way that we do that is by communicating our expectations and setting expectations of what we want to get out of the adventure and what we're trying to do. This could be very simple. This could be all of you and your friends getting down together, sitting at the table, and you turning to them all and saying, "Hi, I'm going to be your GM. Here's my expectations of how this is going to go. It's my first time, give me some break. I may not get every call right, but we're gonna try and have some fun. I'm gonna do my best, but I might need some time for us to pause in between things where I look stuff up, or I try to really think about how we're gonna adjudicate that role, and I just ask for patience. And I will do the same for you, because this might be your first time playing, and so we're all gonna just set the expectation now that we're learning, we're gonna try and have fun, but we don't have all the answers yet, and we'll figure it out as we go." That's an example of a really quick and simple conversation that can happen at the beginning, even before you start rolling any dice, that just sets very clear boundaries and expectations at the top. We've set the boundary that we're new, we've asked for patience while we take our time to figure things out, and we've promised that we're going to do everything in our power to be able to make sure that the people playing this game have the best experience that they can have, but that we also now are setting the expectation that we understand they are learning as well, and that we will have patience and we will give them the same thing we are asking for. More complex versions of this topic can go into lines and veils and more safety rules that come into improv, but I find that just having the quick, no more than 5-minute conversation going around the table where everyone says what they're looking to get out of it, what they're willing to do, and setting just a nice set of ground rules before any dice get rolled or any players get introduced saves a lot of heartbreak, as well as a lot of potential conflict that can arise between people at the table, especially if you're interacting with people that have different comfortability playing games or different comfortabilities with the rules. Because while it might be everyone else's first time, someone might have had some experience, or they've maybe watched a lot of actual play shows, and so they have a really good grasp of the rules. And it could be a little bit frustrating when other people don't have the same knowledge base and are trying to figure things out as they go. And you save all of that heartbreak by just communicating. That brings us to point 3. That at the end of the day, when any one of us gets to the table with our players and with our friends and with our family or whoever our group might be, we've all gotten together to play these games and tell these stories, and we need to keep top of mind that at the end of the day, we are playing a game, and games by definition are supposed to be fun. So keep it fun. That doesn't mean that you can only tell fun, silly, goofy stories. You can tell whatever genre of story you want. It can have dark and serious tones. But at the end of the day, everyone should leave your table having had a good experience. They should want to come back. They should have had a positive experience with you as their GM. And you as the GM are also someone that should have had fun during the time. And the way that we do that is building off of the previous 2 points. Make sure that everyone knows what their roles are. That is a communication issue. Like we have said with our point 2, communication is key. Make sure that the GM is very well established as the person that is going to be emulating the world, reacting to all of the input that is given to them, and then giving out answers in that form of a reaction. But also that you are the person that is making sure that everyone is following the rules of your own individual social contracts. That at your table, you are the arbiter of not just the rules of the game, but also the social dynamics. What does that mean? It means that sometimes you have to not just be the bad guys in the sense of being every monster that the party faces or every problem that they have to overcome, But sometimes you also have to be the one that lays down the law in front of your players. And I don't necessarily want that to come off as you have to be mean or you have to rule with an iron fist. But sometimes it is necessary to pull players aside and be like, hey, I didn't appreciate your tone, or I didn't appreciate the amount of yelling or this particular interaction. Let's talk about it. I find that it's best to do this in a way of reminding yourselves that you're all still friends or family or whatever your group may be. And that, hey, we can just check in. We can do something really low-key of just, how are you doing right now? Is there something that I need to know? Is there anything I can do to help? I find it's very beneficial as the GM to approach these situations of once again, open and clear and honest communication. How can I help? What's going on? Is this something we need to find a solution to, or do you just need someone to listen? And as you have that empathy and you lead forward with that, you're able to resolve a lot of problems before they become actual problems. Say two players get into a little bit of a heated discussion about how are they going to do X, Y, or Z thing that they need to do. If they're trying to overthrow the local monarch, and they get into a discussion of whether it's best to sneak in and assassinate him or to lead a revolution amongst the people, and it can get to a point where not everyone agrees, that would be a time for a GM to step in and either offer advice of like, well, here's what you guys know, or maybe an NPC can talk to them and offer an opportunity. Or at a very high level, if you're not comfortable doing either of those things, you can just say, hey, it sounds like we have two options. Let's run a vote. Player A, you can defend your side. Player B, you defend your side. And then after both have given their time and their explanation as to why they think to go where it is, you can either do it open voting, you can do heads down, thumbs up, whatever works for you, but you are the one that gets to adjudicate these kind of interpersonal concerns and problems as they could pop up in a game. And they probably won't, but they can, and that's the thing that you get there. And I find the most important guiding factor in any of those things is to keep remembering the game's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun for not just you, not just them, for everyone. And that it is your job and your highest calling as the GM to make sure that that continues being true. You get to tell wonderful, cool stories. You get to do things that you could never imagine. You get to help other people fall in love with not just their characters, but with their worlds and with their own decisions. The power that you get to have as a GM is really powerful and cool and awesome. And yes, it comes with some responsibility, but I think that it is more beneficial for all people involved to remember that you can wield responsibility in several ways. Keeping in mind the adage from comic books' favorite Uncle Ben, with great power as your GM, the arbiter of all truth and knowledge, comes great responsibility, to paraphrase. And to make sure that you keep responsibility in your mind, I find it's much easier, instead of leaning on trying to literally dwell with the power that comes with the station, remember the why behind why you're doing it. Why did you become the GM for your group? Is it because no one else would? Maybe. But also, you did it because at the end of the day, even if no one else would step up to fill the role, it was more important to you that someone did it so that everyone could have fun than that no one did it and no one got to play at all. And that's pretty cool. And if you just keep that grounding you as you go forward, a lot of these more intricate things that you have to do that could be daunting, of building a world or adjudicating the rules, or even more scarily, interpersonal conflicts at a table, become that much easier to understand and to deal with because you are driven by your why, your motivator for why you are doing this. And at the end of the day, it's a game. You can treat it with all the severity and all the seriousness that you need to and that your players want to. That's back in our expectations conversation. But don't forget to check in and let everyone know, hey, we're here to have fun. We're here to play a game. It can get a little dark. It can get a little serious. It can do whatever it needs to do. That's the fun of this game. But at the end of the day, If you're not having fun, let's fix it. And that's something totally within your power. Now, we've talked about a lot of things here, and this video is probably somewhere around the 20-minute mark at this point. But I do want to end with, this is just the first of many things that I'm going to be going into this. As I continue forward, we've covered a lot of my main philosophy of what it takes to be a GM and what a GM is, and at a very basic level. And notice, none of these things went into the actual how of how to do your job. That will come in later videos, and it will. But it was more important to me that we start at the why you do it and the what it is than it was the how, to help people feel that they could do this. Because I firmly believe that every person watching this video could run a game. It might be difficult, it might be daunting, but a lot of that comes down to your own expectations and to being able to tell yourself that, hey, I'm learning, I'm gonna give it my best shot, and that at the end of the day, it's a game. We're here to have fun, we're here to do what we can, and then we'll figure everything else out along the way. Thank you all for watching. It has been great. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, engage with the algorithm in all the ways that we can. We're really trying to get something going here. It's been great having you all. I hope that you have found this helpful. I've been Sam, and this has been the Jank Drawer.